Okay, so I finally decided, hey, maybe my Alycats want to know what my favorite movies are. And I know I talk about video games a lot, but movies are another big passion of mine. So here are my top 10 favorite movies that I've ever watched, and my movie choices are going to be way different than yours, I know. So please be respectful and let me know what your favorite movies are in the comments down below or by video response, because I would love to see it. And if you happen to like this video, click the like button, subscribe, favorite, and of course just enjoy this, and let's get started. My number 10 favorite movie of all time is The Hangover, which I really don't like comedy movies that much, but The Hangover always makes me laugh every single time. I mean, I love The Hangover so much, and I've loved every iteration of the franchise, and some people think it's stupid, and I could see where you would think that, but to me it's hilarious. I love it. It's so inappropriate but so funny, and if you by any chance haven't seen The Hangover, watch it now. You'll love it. One of the best R-rated comedies ever. So that's my number 10 favorite movie. My number 9 favorite movie is Kick-Ass, which superhero movies are hit and miss with me. I either love them or hate them, and Kick-Ass really blew my mind. I was surprised at how much I loved it, and it's a very funny movie. It's comedy, but it's also a superhero movie, and there's just so much raunchiness and action and silliness, and it's just great. Okay, it's great. If you haven't seen Kick-Ass, watch it, because the second one's coming out, I think, in August, and I'm super excited about that because I love Kick-Ass. Number 8 favorite movie of all time is Napoleon Dynamite. And yes, I'm aware that this movie has basically no plot, but it's just, oh, I just love it. I love it, okay? It's so stupid, it's funny. And the first time you watch this movie, you're just kind of like, what? I just got fuster clucked. But watch it again, and you'll slowly start to appreciate the humor that's in the movie. And it actually started out as like a basic 20-minute student film and then was turned into the feature film. And this movie is just, I never think of llamas the same again. And the ending is just one of the best movie endings of all time. I think the dance, great. John Heder was fantastic as Napoleon, and I still say vote for Pedro. And my number 7 favorite movie of all time is Black Swan. And Black Swan, Natalie Portman won the Oscar for Best Leading Actress that year. And Black Swan is a story about a ballerina who gets the lead role in Swan Lake. And she has to play both the Black Swan and the White Swan. And first, she's so innocent and she doesn't really know how to channel the Black Swan. And then she sees her competitor, who's played by Mila Kunis, and Mila Kunis is just blowing the ballet director's mind, and Natalie Portman's character gets really jealous, and she starts to just take over. Her body is taken over by this. She just feels like the Black Swan, okay? I have no words for it. Like, it's just crazy. This movie messes with your mind, and it really makes you not want to be a ballerina if you ever wanted to be a ballerina as a girl, because this movie is disturbing, okay? I can't even watch the scene where she pulls on her hangnail. That just, oh! There's a lot of disturbing images in this film, but it's beautifully crafted, it's well acted, and I just love it. Number 6 on my favorite movie list is The Little Mermaid. It's one of my all-time favorite Disney movies, and as a girl, I wanted to be Ariel, because what little girl doesn't want to be a mermaid princess that gets married to this handsome Prince Eric, which he is probably the most handsome prince out of any Disney film, I believe. And just the music, I loved all the musical sequences. I loved Ariel. I'm a water person. I just love water, and the under the sea tone and theme of the movie just really got to me, and I still love The Little Mermaid, and I'm definitely picking up the Blu-ray edition when it comes out in October. And everyone's seen this movie, but if you haven't seen it, you better watch it right now, because this will blow your mind, okay? It's not just for children, okay? Every girl wants to be Ariel, I promise you. This movie it'll fill your heart with joy, okay? You'll love it, and you'll totally hate Ursula. You'll hate to love her, or love to hate her. Whichever one you prefer. And number 5 on my favorite movies of all time list is Tangled, another Disney movie. And this is the story of Rapunzel, but it's a different twist on the story because she is rescued by this really, really handsome thief named Flynn Rider, and this movie was just great, and it didn't get as much publicity and it didn't receive the box office scores that they were hoping for, but this movie, it's great, okay? Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi voiced the characters perfectly. I loved it, and the songs were great in it. Every Disney movie has songs, and this was fantastic, and it's a beautiful movie. It looks beautiful, and it's so funny. Like, I just love the jokes in the film. I've watched it several times, and I never get tired of it. It's a beautiful love story, and it's funny, and it's endearing, and the whole family can watch it, and it's just amazing. So, check out Tangled. Number 4 on my favorite movie list is Howl's Moving Castle, which is a Studio Ghibli film, which is owned by Disney. But I love every Studio Ghibli film, but Howl's Moving Castle is my favorite. It's a story about this hatter. Her name is Sophie, and she's the oldest of her sisters, and she has to run the hat shop. And one day this witch comes in, and she ticks the witch off, and the witch turns her into a 90-year-old woman. And there's this wizard that everyone's afraid of, and his name is Howl, and he has this moving house. It's not really a castle, but it's a house, and it's kind of a sentient being. And everyone's afraid. Every time they see this house, they run away, they hide in their houses. And Sophie, when she turns 90 years old, she goes looking for shelter because she's old and she doesn't want her family to see her like this. And she happens upon Howl's Castle. And just, it's amazing, okay? Studio Ghibli films are beautiful pieces of art, and this movie, this is the first Studio Ghibli film I've ever seen, okay? I never got to see My Neighbor Totoro when I was a child or anything, and this movie just blew my mind. It's beautiful, like most of these movies, it's gorgeous, okay? The English dubbing is a really, really good sound, like the actors were amazing in this. Christian Bale, Emily Mortimer, Josh Hutcherson, and Billy Crystal, they all did a phenomenal job with this movie. And it's a beautiful love story, and it's also a story about war, and a story of jealousy, and it really plumbs deep emotions. So the whole family can watch it, but the older you are, the more you appreciate this movie. And moving on to my number 3 favorite movie of all time, third favorite movie of all time, I can't speak well, okay, is She's All That. And this movie came out in the 90s, I believe, and it stars Rachel Lee Cook and Freddie Prinze Jr., and Freddie Prinze Jr. was hot, okay? He was a dreamboat. And this movie was the ultimate underdog story, and this movie was one of the first movies that Anna Paquin was in, and Anna Paquin's one of my favorite actresses. But this movie had several celebrities in it, and it has the best ending out of any movie I've ever seen, okay? The ending is phenomenal. And the song Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer was basically, this movie basically propelled it to, its fame that it has now. And it's just a story of this girl. She's very homely. Well, she's not homely. She's actually really pretty, but she's not like a girly girl. She dresses down and all that. And then the guy, played by Freddie Prinze Jr., he gets dumped by his girlfriend for this guy that was on the real world. And his friends dare him to ask out the most unpopular girl to prom. So he asks her out, and at first she's like no, because she knows, hey, this guy's a jock. He's just doing this to be stupid, to be a jerk. But then his sister gives Rachel Lee Cook's character a makeover, and she looks beautiful. And Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character falls in love with her, and then she discovers that this was all a prank, and she gets super upset tells him to leave her alone, doesn't go to prom with him, and he makes it up to her at the end of the movie. And this is just such a feel-good underdog movie, and it's one of the best movies ever. And some would say it's a chick flick, but really it's more of a comedy. Guys will enjoy this movie as well, I believe. And it has a lot of 90s stars in it that you will love, and it's really well acted, and just give it a chance if you haven't seen She's All That. And my second favorite movie of all time is Silver Linings Playbook, and you've heard me talk about this over and over and over again this year because I just loved it. Everyone in the cast did an amazing job, okay? Jennifer Lawrence totally deserved her Oscar win. Bradley Cooper, Robert De Niro, Jackie Weaver, and Chris Tucker were all amazing as well. And it's a story about Pat Solitano, and he just got out of a mental institution, and you never really know why he was in the institution besides the fact that his wife cheated on him with the history teacher at their school, and Jennifer Lawrence's character her husband died recently, and these two characters, they're very, very different, but at the same time they're very similar. They come together and they meet. At first they can't stand each other, but then she bribes him into going and entering into this dance competition because she's like, I'll give letters to your ex-wife if you do this dance competition with me. So he agrees, and at the same time his father's like, well, I need you at home because, the Philadelphia Eagles need you to win because his dad's OCD. He has to have his TV remote controls at a certain angle. He believes his son is his lucky charm, so Pat has to stay at home when there's an Eagles game on, and I really hope I'm getting the sports team right because I don't care about sports. But this was a really moving family film. It's a great comedy, directed by David O. Russell, who's one of my favorite directors of all time. And it's a great love story, great comedy. It's a very black comedy, but it's still great. And, I think all the actors actually deserved the Oscar for what they were nominated for, but, I'm happy with Jennifer Lawrence winning. But this is definitely a movie to check out, and yes, it does touch heavily on mental disorders, but it's really moving. It's kind of educational too, because you kind of get into the mind of these characters, and the movie itself, some people think it's a jumbled mess, but people with mental disorders like myself, our minds are a jumbled mess, and this movie encapsulates that feeling perfectly. And it's just such a beautiful movie, and it's just so well acted, well written. Check out Silver Linings Playbook because, some people, once they hear a movie has been nominated for an Oscar, they're like, why the hell would I want to watch that? But trust me, you want to watch Silver Linings Playbook. You'll love it, okay? Bradley Cooper's hot. And if you're a guy, Jennifer Lawrence is pretty gorgeous too. But you want to watch it for the acting, okay? And my number one favorite movie of all time is Where the Heart Is. And yes, this is a romantic comedy, chick flick type of movie. It stars Natalie Portman and Ashley Judd and James Frain, and it has a cameo by Sally Field. And it's the story of a girl who's pregnant who gets ditched by her boyfriend at Walmart, and she ends up having the baby at Walmart. And it's basically the story of her raising her child and how she falls in love with the town's librarian, and how the people of the town take her in as their own. They give her a place to live, they support her and her daughter, and it also shows her ex's life also as he becomes a country music one-hit wonder basically, and what happens to him. It's very moving, and this is the movie I've watched the most. It always makes me feel better, and I just love this movie so much. I love the book as well, but this movie, I think it's really overlooked, but it's a fantastic film. It really moves you, and well done family movie, and it'll move you, okay? Everything in this movie, it touches your heart, and it gets down deep inside, and it stays there. The movie resonates with you, and you connect with these characters. And yes, there are some funny names in this movie, Nova Lee, Americas, but look past that because this movie is a gem, is a diamond in the rough. Watch Where the Heart Is if you haven't seen it yet. If you have, then you rock. And of course, a top 10 list wouldn't be complete without some honorable mentions. And movies I've loved that didn't make the list, but I still love them a lot, are Spirited Away, another Studio Ghibli film, Perfume, the story of the murderer. This is a very overlooked movie, but it's very beautiful, and you can actually, it feels like you can actually smell the scents in this movie, and it's a very strange concept, but it's very beautifully directed and shot. The actors are amazing in this, check it out. And I loved the Twilight movies, which a lot of people were like, Twilight, no, it sucks. But I understand where you're coming from, but I love the Twilight series, okay? And another favorite movie of mine was The Quick and the Dead. I loved to watch this as a child. It had Leonardo DiCaprio and Sharon Stone in it, and I just love the cheesy effects in this film. I watched it a ton when I was a child, and this is my top 10 list. I hope you enjoyed it, and like I said at the beginning of the video, click the thumbs up button if you liked it. Leave a comment in the description box down below. Subscribe and become an Alycat so you can see more videos like this. And of course, I totally love you. Peace and kisses.